You're watching the CSGO Betting Edge, brought to you by plusEVsports. Visit our website at plusEVsports.com for write-ups and analysis, and join our Discord, plusEVsports.com/Discord, for all of our betting predictions. Today we're going to take our first look at Dreamhack's Masters Malmo, which features 16 of the world's best teams playing for the title from October 1st to October 6th. The tournament kicks off with Astralis versus ENCE. Astralis comes into this after winning their fourth major in Berlin, where they had a convincing run in the playoffs. They also managed to reach playoffs in ESL 1 New York with an impressive 2-0 against Optic after losing 0-2 to EG, formerly known as NRG. They are facing ENCE, who now consists of Nifty, Fugly, Som, Android, and Ryan. The roster, which had several changes in the last few months, is looking for some consistency and wants to prove themselves among international competition after defending their Pro League spot and qualifying for this LAN in recent weeks. Astralis comes into this matchup as clear undisputed favorites. They are a superior team in every aspect of the game, whether that be strategy, firepower, or map pool. It will be interesting to see what ENCE can bring to the table, but we don't see them coming close, especially against Astralis, even in a best of one. At current odds of 1.1 for Astralis and 6.6 for ENCE, we suggest skipping this map, although we might consider a bet on the ENCE handicap if odds get better closer to game time. Want to know what we end up taking? Don't forget to join our Discord. The link is below. The other starting match of this tournament is G2 versus Furia. Both come into this game with their own fresh roster changes. G2 had an upward trajectory this year, slowly improving from event to event. However, not qualifying for the playoffs at the major ultimately led them to removing Shocks. They've looked decent in New York, with Kiyoshima standing in, qualifying for the playoffs by beating ENCE twice and taking a map off Liquid. However, their fifth player for G2 at Malmo is still unknown, as Kiyoshima is officially only standing in for New York. There have been rumors of G2 signing Hunter and Nexa from Crazy, but this probably won't happen before this event, as it's only a few days in between. We think Kyo will probably play for them in Malmo, removing Abel J for the flashy AWPer Henny. Why they replaced their in-game leader for an AWPer, which they already have in Art, is still left to be answered. We think this move could backfire on them, but of course, it's too early to say that, and only time will tell. Since G2 just reached the playoffs in New York, we think it's wise to jump on them now while you can still get odds of 1.9 or better. Those are likely to drop getting closer to this tournament. However, we wouldn't take anything below that, as the match seems really dicey in general. In the next game, we have Fnatic facing off versus ENCE. Fnatic just removed Twist and Exist in favor for Flusha and Golden. So far, they've only played 2 best of 3s online in the current ECS season, winning 2-0 versus Heretics and 2-1 in close fashion versus major finalists Avangar. Speaking of which, this core was quite successful, winning IEM Katowice in early 2018 and winning WESG a couple days later for a total of over $1 million in winnings over just the span of 2 weeks. ENCE, on the other hand, come in with their post-major roster move, which consisted of removing their in-game leader Alexi B in favor of Fragger Sunny, who's been sitting on Mousesports' bench for a while. Now, with 2 events under the belt, it's safe to say they've been underwhelming, bombing out 5th in a 6-team LAN at Blast Pro Series Moscow with a 1-2-2 score, and now in groups at ESL 1 New York, where they lost their opening series 2-0 in close fashion versus G2, choking a 14-9 lead on Dust 2, which resulted in them losing 19-17 in overtime. On Nuke, they choked from 14-10 on CT side to 16-14 loss. In an elimination match, they won 2-0 versus E United, which put them back up against G2 in the decider game for playoffs, as G2 had lost 2-1 versus Liquid. This time around, it went the distance, but unfortunately, they lost 2-1. So far, we've seen that ENCE is relying a lot on their firepower, which hasn't been working out to much success. Most of the time, it's on their AWP or Alu to drag them through the mud with phenomenal plays. but against a hungry, semi-new Fnatic roster, it will be tough. We expect Fnatic to analyze ENCE's playstyle to the fullest, as there's plenty of demos laying around from 2 LAN events that they have attended since the major. ENCE should be favored in this matchup as they have spent more time so far with their new roster than Fnatic, but we expect Fnatic to put up a fight, and thus we took Fnatic moneyline at 2.46 odds for 0.8 units, and would suggest betting them at odds 2.25 or better. How do you guys feel about these new rosters? Let us know in the comments below. The French team of Vitality will be starting their journey in Malmo versus the Chinese team TYLO. After losing to Avangar in the quarterfinals of the Berlin Major earlier this month, they removed their second in-game leader, NBK, as they didn't really see the need to have a second one, with Alex leading the team, but things were supposedly heating up inside. Reason of the struggles inside the team's chemistry was the battle of power between the two of them, giving the team trouble on deciding whose calls to follow. Nothing has been confirmed yet on the side of Vitality, but it has been leaked that Shox, that departed from G2, has been practicing with them and is supposed to join the team. This will help them with their firepower, as they've struggled a few times in the past when star player ZywOo doesn't show up or has slow starts. TYLO, on the other hand, just kicked King as a result of not showing enough commitment to the team's schedule, as he was pugging instead of joining the server for an official match, resulting in an attacker who was previously benched for him making his way back to the starting roster. As for their current form, they've pretty much been tearing through all of the Asian Chinese teams in the online qualifiers. During that time, they won 18 of 27 maps and 9 of 11 matches, one of which being a best of 5. Vitality are heavy favorites, which they should be even with limited practice time with Shox, but they should win roughly about 75% of the time. That said, it's still a best of 1, and with the slow start, the aggressive playstyle from TYLO could spell problems for the French. Overall, we'd advise skipping this game at current odds, but if you see it go anything as high as 4, maybe a little bit above that, we think it might be worth to bet on TYLO for 1 unit. Both Liquid and Optic just attended ESL New York, and it will be interesting to see how fatigue affects these teams coming into Malmo. Strangely, however, Liquid being so strong might be a disadvantage, as they've had to play another day in playoffs and will have less time to reset for Malmo. Optic, on the other hand, dropped out in 3rd of their groups with Astralis and EG, which on the bright side gives them another day to prepare for the next event. Considering this is a best of 1 as well, 5.8 plus odds on Optic is just disrespectful. They have a couple of maps which they can play pretty well, and they should put up a great fight versus Liquid on them. Given that it's a best of 1 and Optic has looked decent in New York, we did place a small bet of 0.3 units on them at 5.78 odds. In general, we suggest betting Optic at odds 4.5 or greater. Coming into this match, Navi has made the decision to cut their long-term in-game leader, Zeus, in favor of star AWP or Guardian. This will probably mean that Navi will make some positional changes coming into Dreamhack Malmo and transition Simple into a rifler, giving him space and freedom to make plays. It's hard to say how it will play out with the lack of practice coming into the event, but the raw talent is definitely there. The lack of leadership, however, is concerning, and we'll see how they adapt, just having lost their in-game leader. North has always been a stable tier 2 team. They don't seem to be able to contend for titles, but they always end up with the occasional upset here and there. However, they've always seemed to get the better of Navi. In the past 3 months, North has won 10 of 14 maps against this team. Considering Navi with fresh roster changes and a little practice, we'd recommend taking North anything north of 2.4 odds. Now we come to the battle of inconsistency. Mousesports against Ninjas in Pajamas. Both teams uncountably consist of skillful players with high skill ceilings, but both teams are known for losing matches that they really shouldn't. Ironically, both teams proved this point at the V4 Future Sports Festival by both losing 0-2 to Virtus.pro, a team who has become a meme for how much they fell off the scene since their glory days. After bombing out this LAN, NIP recently replaced the Swedish Counter-Strike legend GetRight with Twist, who's been sitting on the bench of their rival Fnatic since August. On paper, this addition might not look like an improvement, but looking at GetRight's recent performance, pretty much everyone would have been an improvement. And according to the interviews with NIP, they are pretty confident in the newest addition to help their team come back on track. Mousesports, the team of mixed young talent like Frozen and Woxic and old veterans like Chris J and Kerrigan, are clear favorites in this matchup because they've had way more time practicing with their full lineup after they went out at the major. But like we mentioned before, recent performances of this team have been anything else but clean, losing to Virtus Pro and dropping a map to Tricked. This map is a tough call since we don't know how the additions of Twist changed NIP's map pool and how much time they've had to practice. If you want to be safe, we'd avoid skipping this match and waiting for us to be able to see NIP's performance. If you feel risky, we can justify a bet on NIP, anything higher than 3.2 odds. Next, we come to a matchup that looks pretty uneven on paper. America's New Hope, Evil Geniuses, who are currently ranked number 4 in the world, meet Australians of Greyhound, who are number 25 in the world rankings. EG is the former NRG team who got acquired by esports powerhouse Evil Geniuses. We saw them only a few days back when they impressed by winning 2-0 in the group stages versus an Astralis in pretty good form. Their opponents, Greyhound, have last been seen at the Star Ladder Major in August, where they went out losing 1-2 to Vitality. Since then, they've only played versus Australian teams in online leagues, but only dropped one map. Greyhound recently added Order player Joshua Inns Potter for Urcast, who was unable to secure a work visa in Australia. The Americans, surrounded by their captain Stanislaw, are undoubtedly the clear favorites in this matchup, but they come into this tournament with having not a lot of time to prepare since they left ESL 1 New York, a very important event for them, and they've been traveling since. What also plays into the cards of the Australians of Greyhound is the fact that the first matches of Dreamhack Masters are best out of ones, and it is pretty likely that the veto will end on a map that they're comfortable on. Looking at the lines offered by bookmakers, we can see odds are ridiculously as high as 7.0 for Greyhound to win the match, which might be a long shot play for sure, but definitely worth it. That's why we would recommend Greyhound at anything above 5.0. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow us on plusEV_sports on Twitter. Visit our page for more betting related content, www.plusEVsports.com, and join our Discord for all of our bets during the tournament. Also, comment on the video and tell us who you think's going to win the tournament. Which of the teams do you guys think are going to surprise? Will Navi be able to compensate Zeus as an in-game leader with more firepower? Let us know your thoughts, and we'll catch you next time. As always, best of luck and stay disciplined.